What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? I hope you guys are doing well. Man, my shirt looking all janky. Pull on the other side. There we go. Hope y'all are doing well today. It's your man, Tim Jackson. Thank you so much for joining me. I took last week off. Boy, this shirt is looking real janky, like I've been chewing on it. I really have, you guys. But anyway, you can pull it down the back. That's a little bit better. All right. So thank you all so much for joining. What's good, Miss Lady? What's going on? What's going on? Hope you guys are doing well. What's going on? What's going on, Jaleesa? I'm going to go ahead and get started on today's topic, which is remove the emotion. You might hear some background noise. My son is in here working on a project. So let's go ahead and play the Real Youth Mentoring commercial, and we're going to get started right on this show.
To support a nonprofit that is making moves, Real Youth Mentoring is a nonprofit organization that provides support to young men across the United States, teaching them to be better scholars, better leaders, and productive members of their community. Through service, scholarship, and engagement, we address the systemic issues that often plague low-income communities while providing solutions rooted in economics and accountability. Visit our website, www.realyouthmentoring.org, to learn how you can join and learn ways that you can provide support. The change we need is here, and the change we need is now. Become a member and a supporter today.
I'm just talking away. What's good, everyone? Thank you for joining. What's good, Malachi? I see you jumped in. I took last week off, you guys, to take a break to kind of get some things together, get my mind right. But I'm back in full effect. We're going to resume these as we have always done them. So first things first, you all, the topic today is simple: remove the emotion. I was having a conversation with someone recently about the emotional decisions that we make and talking about how many of the decisions that we regret tend to come from not being calculated decisions and not being decisions that are of logic. You know what I'm saying? And, what happens a lot of times is that we feel some kind of way. Something happens, something takes place in our life, and we automatically have a knee-jerk reaction. I'm dealing with a situation right now where I'm dealing with, a sale right now. There's just a lot of frustration in this sale because, the builder has just been, I can write a book on how this builder has just not provided service to us at all. Making little snide remarks, being very, very rude to us. And in this market, the builders do have the upper hand because they know that there's far more people looking to buy than there is to sell. They can drive their prices up. And it's like they're doing things to provoke us, to say something that's going to cause them to say, you know what, we should just terminate this contract. And so I'm working on a situation right now. I won't go into too many details, but, I had to come up with this today. We have to focus on not allowing our emotions to get the best of us in situations, because as I've always said in the past, the decisions that we tend to regret are the ones that we make out of pure emotion. I can agree to that in my life. When I look back at decisions that I've regretted, it's always been a decision of pure emotion, right? And then we have to ask ourselves, well, why do we respond that way? Why is it that we're not training our children to think of things calculated, think of things, 4 or 5 or 6 steps ahead of the game, so that whenever they come into certain situations, they'll know how to respond versus going off of what their mind or their heart is telling them to do in that moment. Like, why do we not teach our kids that? Whenever I have conversations with my son, I always bring to his attention when he's being overly emotional about something versus when he's thinking about it. And even my wife, we have these conversations too, where something happens, I say, well, babe, did you think about that from a logical standpoint or an emotional standpoint? I'm not gonna lie. There's been times when she said, Tim, are you looking at this from a standpoint of how it's gonna work out for us years down the line? Or are you looking at things based on how you feel right now? And there are times where we feel like that we need to express ourselves. And there are times where people need to get the backlash that they deserve to get based on the way that they've responded to you. I'm not saying that you have to be a robot and walk around and be emotionless. What I'm saying is that you need to be more strategic in the way that you are handling certain things. The lady says, Erica was just talking about you and your youth program earlier on her channel. That's what's up. I had to check out Erica and see what's up. I talked to her this past weekend. So let's talk about a few things that I just really want to dive into to help you all to understand how or when you may feel like that your emotions are getting the best of you. Okay. First things first, if the decision that you make is causing you to completely take your mind off of what's going on and you are thinking about ways that you can respond or ways that you can clap back at someone, then you're thinking of it from a pure emotional standpoint. Never allow someone or something to have that type of control over you. And that's very easy. I'm a very calculated person. If someone does something to me, man, I sit up and mentally just plot every possible outcome that can happen. But I've learned over the years that what's going to be is going to be. If I can speak or express my piece, and if a person feels some kind of way about what I'm saying, as long as what I'm saying is factual and it's something that's tangible and something that we can physically go back to and say, this is what happened, this is what you said, then I have no issues. Where I tend to have problems is when I say something based on how I feel or maybe a preconceived notion about how a person should or should not respond. And that's where I tend to get in trouble. And it's hard this day and age to not respond to things because a lot of times, you guys, I'm one of those people, I'm kind of at my wit's end when it comes to certain situations. Like my tolerance level for things it's just really low. And I'm in a position now to where I feel like, I don't really have to deal with this. So I'm just not going to deal with it, if that makes any sense. But in the past, I found myself really, really harping on things and trying to get people to, I don't want to use the term rationalize, but to see things from my perspective, which isn't always the wrong perspective. But I had to come to a realization that most people don't think like me and most people don't think like you. And the word, we use the term, oh, that's just common sense, or this is common sense, or that's common sense. Well, common sense isn't common. What's common to me may not be common to you. And what's common to you may not be common to me. Our life experiences are a little different. I may see things from one perspective, you may see things from another perspective. Now, there is common knowledge and there's ways that things should obviously be done. But we live in a world now where a lot of people just don't really care about logic anymore. They just care about what's going to benefit them. So you have to learn how to differentiate those people up front. I was having a conversation with someone that called me yesterday. For those who know, I retired from real estate. I'm getting rid of all of my last couple of sales. And then after that's over with, it's over and done with. Let me see. One second. I feel like the older financially set one gets, the tolerance level for bull job decreases steadily. Oh yeah, absolutely. The older financially set one gets, that tolerance level definitely reduces. Absolutely. But I'm getting ready to kind of get rid of all of my deals. And I had a former client call me, and my wife still has her real estate license, and we still do referral business. So, I'm not completely out of the game. I'm just not, physically doing it myself outside of the clients that I have. And so someone called me and was like, hey, Tim, I got a client for you. I want you to talk to her. She's looking to buy this and this time. And I thought to myself, it's worth the conversation. I knew the person that called and referred them to me. So I said, I'll do them a courtesy and give this person a call and we can have a conversation about the process. And in the end, depending on the price, if this is going to be a $500,000 house, I might take on one more new client, right? But for the most part, I'll probably just refer this person out or let my wife work with her. So we're having a conversation, and this person was literally just telling me everything that they were going to do. This is how I want to buy the house. This is how it's going to be. These are my goals. This is what I plan on doing. And I'm not going to accept this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. And I'm going to take my time. If I find a house that I like, I want to go to sleep and, have sleep on and think about it for a day. And then mind you, they start the conversation off with every house that I love is always gone, after a day or two. But then they were telling me that they want to, if they find something they like, they want to stop and meditate on it and sleep on it. They didn't say meditate, I'm exaggerating, but they want to think about it. And so as I listen to the person give off, I don't want to say their demands, but state their position on how they wanted to proceed with purchasing a house in this current market, I just told them straight up. The old Tim would have been like, okay, well, let's see what we can do. The new Tim said, let's have a conversation I'm going to take off this Tim Jackson Realty, and I'm going to have a conversation between you and Tim. This is us talking here. This is strictly just two people having a candid conversation. And I proceed to explain to the person that their expectations were beyond unrealistic. Okay. And I said in a very professional way, I said, everything that you're saying that you want to do is exactly how you're not supposed to be doing it in this market. I said, you said you want to do this, and this is how it typically is. You said you want to do that, this is how it typically is. And I completely removed the emotion of saying, I can convince this person to do this way. I can maybe talk this person into doing it that way. And I spoke in completely logical terms. Okay? Nothing more, nothing less. And the person thanked me and said, you know what? I appreciate you for telling me that. No one's really ever told me that. A lot of times in situations like these, a salesperson will tell you, you know, exactly what you want to hear. And, you know, then they'll let you down in the end, right? I said, that's just not who I am. You know, I'm not going to set you up for failure from an emotional standpoint, because what's going to happen is we're going to get out there and we're going to start seeing houses and we're going to make offers and you're going to lose bids. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to get upset and you're going to fire me. And then you may leave a bad review about me. You may have something negative to say about me. We have a lot of mutual friends. We know some of the same people. I don't need my reputation to be sullied because I wasn't straightforward with you and I didn't remove the emotion from this process and I just didn't tell you what it was. Does that make sense? And in every situation, excuse the noise, my son is working on a project. In every situation, you need to approach it from that standpoint. You need to look at the facts of a situation before you make a decision that's going to emotionally impact the outcome. I'm helping with planning my class reunion right now. Something I didn't necessarily want to do in the beginning because I was approached to do it. But as time went on, I was asked again to possibly join the efforts. And I did, because I understood how important it was for this monumental, time frame. We've been out of school for 20 years. And I understand how important that is. And I also understand the challenges that come with planning such an event during COVID-19. And I live in Texas and things have been, relaxed and eased a little bit. So, we can move around a little bit different here, but I understand that some people still have their concerns about the whole ordeal. But I knew going into it that, one, we would have those hurdles. And two, I'll just keep it 100 with you guys. There's people in high school, I just don't fool with them. I don't care for them. It ain't no love lost. I like to use the term, they're neither my enemy nor my friend. I just don't fool with them. If I got invited to dinner, with a group of people and there was some people I didn't too much care for, I just wouldn't go, or I'd pass on it. Before this event, it's not about me. It's not about how I feel about someone specific. It's about 5 or 10 years from now, us having a conversation about how we celebrated each other's lives and celebrated each other's success and got a chance to hang around with people that we did fool around with. So I went to a school that was huge. We graduated like 750, 800 people, right? I was joking with someone today. Her last name was Williams. She said, shoot, one of the reasons I transferred is because I knew I was going to be sitting up at graduation for 3 hours waiting on my name to be called, right? But in the process of planning all this, I took the emotion out of it because it's not about how I feel about someone in particular or a specific situation. It's about the greater good of what we have planned. We plan on doing a lot of things, offering sponsorships. We plan on giving out a scholarship. There's so much positivity that's going to come from us having this event that I would be a fool not to associate myself with it long term, because I may feel some way about someone now, but then see them at the reunion and we have a conversation. It's just like, oh, okay, ain't no love lost. It ain't no big thing. And that could be the one person that can get me from where I am to where I want to be, because they know one person. I can't tell you how many times I've taken on new clients who I went to high school with, or even went to college with, or was in the military with, that I just didn't fool with while I was in those situations. But in our professional and our adult lives, we saw the benefit and the need for each other to align ourselves for a specific task. And from that alignment, we were able to grow and build partnerships that have changed my life, okay? So I want you all to consider that when you're thinking about what it is that you're doing. understand that just because you may feel some kind of way about something, or you may want to offer a certain response that maybe the timing on that just isn't the best for you, and you should reconsider that. Okay. Another thing I want to talk about is the long-term consequences of your short-term actions. In my world, if I make a bad decision, I lose money. But in the real world, you can cause a relationship to be broken because of a short-term decision. I have friends, I have family members. I'll pick on my family members that I just don't talk to at all. Not everyone in my family, specific people, because of things they've done or said over the years in the heat of the moment, or because they felt some kind of way or they felt slighted about something they didn't really have all of the knowledge or the information about. And then after they say what they say, the damage is already done. And even after they realize that, they were wrong in their approach, the damage is already done. And so me, I'm the type of person, like, listen, once you let me know who you are and what you're about, I'll keep my distance from you, right? No harm, no love lost, no harm, no foul. Even though you did cause harm and even though it was a foul, I personally understand that if a person continues to show you who they are, then it's not advantageous of you to be emotionally involved with this person. If that makes any sense. You're never going to change them. You're never going to get them to see things your way. You're never going to get them to reason with you, because people like this lack reason. And the sooner that we can come to the conclusion that certain people just lack the capability and the ability to insert reason into logical situations, and that it's best for us to just disassociate ourselves with them or that situation, the quicker we'll be able to move on to the next situation that will be beneficial to us long term. Okay? That was a mouthful. Go back and listen to what I said. But it's important for you to understand that some of the things that you say and do in a moment can cause a person to either not want to fool with you, or a situation to dissolve, or an opportunity to dissolve, simply based on your quick action, right? Lastly, advice that someone gave me a long time ago. This is when I was I think I was in junior high. In 8th grade, my 8th grade teacher said this. She said, "Tim, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. That means you should listen twice as much as you talk." And I used to hear that. And she would always say that to me because I used to run my mouth. I thought she was trying to be funny because I had big ears. But, the thing was that you should listen twice as much as you talk. And in my older age, I've really, really taken that on. I understand why that is important not to offer a reaction in certain situations, because sometimes people are looking for a reaction. I fell for it. I've fallen for you guys. I've stepped into a booby trap and, got trapped up because of my quick reaction to things in the past. I get that. But I'm learning now that when a person says something to me, I just kind of take it in, absorb it, and then I identify if it's even worth my time, effort, and energy to even offer a response. I've been pretty bad. I've been kind of low key on social media the last 4 weeks. I don't think I've made a post in like 10 or 11 days because I really just don't have a desire to even entertain certain conversations with people anymore. If it's not in this group or if it's not on this platform, there's really not much for me to talk about, specifically as it relates to social issues and issues that impact Black people, because most people are just not going to agree with my position, because my position requires change. It requires a paradigm shift, and it requires action that a lot of people just aren't willing to take. And when I say action, I don't mean like rah-rah fighting action. I mean like literally changing your behaviors so that you can get a different outcome. I'm a data person. I like to review the data. I like to see the sample size of how things are done and the outcomes based on that, and study things historically. And I believe that if we continue to do the same things over and over and over, then we're going to continue to get the same result. But what I've found over the years is that people are perfectly comfortable with those results, because change is difficult for a lot of people. So if you put people in a position where they have to change, they're more likely to just say, I'm okay with how things are, and you need to stop tripping, Tim, right? Well, what I'm learning is that that's perfectly fine. I'll make whatever change is necessary for me, and then I will invite those who see me making that change and who are intrigued by said changes to come on over to the dark side, if you will, to implement those changes. But what I won't do is I won't undervalue my work just because a person doesn't necessarily see things my way. There's going to always be people who disagree with you and who don't see eye to eye with you. And your job is to keep it moving. Because when it comes to getting people to shift the way they think and change the way they approach life, 9 times out of 10, and I say that to mean 10% of the people, 90% of the people whom which you attempt to try to see things your way or to approach things differently will reject it. It's just how human nature works. They will reject it. And what happens too often is we get frustrated in the process because on one side we're saying, man, this needs to change. We need to change this. We need to do this. And then on the other side, we know that the people who have the power to do that aren't wanting to do it and they don't want to change. So then it makes you feel some kind of way about yourself and feel some kind of way about the situation. And then that's when the emotions go into play. And that's when you tend to, find yourself shutting down or feeling some kind of way. In my case, I just charge to the game and say, you know what? It's not really advantageous of me to pursue something that will never change. It is advantageous of me, however, to create change and then invite those who agree with the change to participate in what I'm doing, if that makes any sense. I hope that makes sense to you all. So I hope that you can apply that to your own life, you guys. Remove the emotion from some of the decisions that you're making. Thank you so much, Miss Lady. Appreciate the compliment. Remove the emotions from the decisions that you're making because at the end of the day, people ain't even thinking about you, man. I always say, when you're 20, you care what everyone thinks. When you're 40, you don't give a damn what anyone thinks. And when you're 60, you realize that no one's thinking about you at all. And in the climate that we're living in, people are more so now than ever focused on themselves. We live in a society where it's all about us. YOLO, you only live once. I'm going to do me. I'm going to go and run it up. I'm going to go and do whatever I feel like is best for me long term without any regard or any thought to the consequences that can potentially arise from my emotional decisions and my actions. So you have to be one who learns how to identify that. And once you identify that, you need to apply it to your life and figure out how I can apply my principles that I'm using in my own life and target those or approach those or align myself with those who see the same. All right? And feel the same way. Y'all, that's all I got for you today. I'm not going to talk all night long. Go back and watch this. If you're watching on replay, say what's up, shout out where you watch it from, and you guys have a great night.